Good evening, my lovely star family. My name is Rebecca, and this is my belated new moon report for Pillars of the Moon. So, thank you for your patience with me getting this report together. I've been so flat out this week with all of the things, and it's been such huge energy. And wow, there's a lot happening for me in other projects and lots of big meetings and gettings together and really feeling this shift of Uranus moving into Taurus and the Venus cazimi that happened in the heart of the sun just before the new moon and at her star point in Taurus. And yeah, it's been really powerful for me, but that's meant because I'm in my nodal return right now. So I'm heading towards my destiny and realigning to that. That everything that's coming in this week has felt really powerful and really aligning, but like this rush of expansion, which I think is connected to Jupiter being with Mercury as well at the moment. So when Venus had her gazemi with the Sun, Jupiter and Mercury were really, really close together in the sky. And so there's this kind of like expansion of communication, expansion and growth around our ideas and our perspectives and our mind. So these energies have been really powerful in Taurus. It's really creating this expansion around our resources and our money and all the things that we love and value in our hearts. So it's been, yeah, I'm hoping that you've all been feeling that too. There's also a square to Saturn, which has been bringing challenges as well, but I'm going to jump into the chart soon, but first I'm going to share with you my overview that I've done. I know some of you like to keep this to look over throughout the month. So yeah, new moon in Taurus, which was the 6th of the 6th, which is yesterday at 13:37. These are all GMT time zones. And then coming into our first quarter moon, it's coming up in Leo on my chart, but it's actually right on the cusp. So in the live sky in Stellarium, we'll have a look in a minute. The first quarter moon is right on the end of Leo, really close to the first stars of Virgo. So it's a cuspy one. So that kind of like energy of creativity again with Venus being close to this new moon. Venus has a really strong connection to this cycle. During this cycle, Venus will be rising. I think by the next new moon, she'll have her first conjunction with the moon as she's rising. I'm not sure, it might be in the next new moon time that she will be coming out from the underworld. So at the time of her cazimi, she's in her Venusian underworld. That means we can't see her. Like she was the morning star and she goes down and then we can't see her for a period. And then she rises up from dark in the evening sky with her moon conjunctions as she comes back up. And it's like this amazing journey of Inanna and Persephone and Ishtar and all these ancient myths and stories connected to this energy. So Venus is so like part of this cycle, you know, because she's had her star point and now she's coming into a new phase, you know, she's coming out of the dark, she's rising up, she's being reborn as our evening star after her time in the underworld, of returning home to her home stars of Taurus. I mean, wow, such beautiful Venus energy. And for it to be happening as well, aligned with Uranus moving into Taurus, Venus's home, and the same time that Jupiter and Mercury are together in Venus's home, you know, it's just so beautiful for all the Venusian themes around our heart and our love and our the earth and our body and our connection to nature and our senses and abundance with Jupiter here, right? And resources and yeah, money and expanding into our beliefs around money and how we can grow money and expand into all of our full potential. Um, so yes, coming after the first quarter moon in Leo, well, Leo Virgo cuspies. Um, yes, and the first quarter moon will also be aligned with Black Moon Lilith as well. So there's another shot of wildness coming in with that energy, which I'll talk about a bit more later. Yeah, so the summer solstice will be on the 20th of June. It's Lifa. It's the time of most light for us in the northern hemisphere. And for those of you in the southern hemisphere, it's the time of most dark and the returning of the light. So it's that turning point. And that will be happening on the 20th of June this year. And then the sun moves into Gemini, round about the same time, actually, about the 21st of June, the sun goes into the stars of Gemini. And then we will have our full strawberry moon in Sagittarius, which is so close to the galactic center, the Golden Gate, and it's so close to the butterfly cluster, which I love, which is very close to the galactic center. So it's a really, really powerful full moon coming up. And it's on the 22nd as well, just close to the solstice. So the energy around this full moon is going to be really, really powerful and beautiful. 22nd, the 22 being a number which is connected to sacred union, sacred marriage, Mary Magdalene. So, and the new moon, which we'll see in the chart in a minute, is at 22 degrees. So it's, yeah, it's just 22, 22. So there's a big 22 download coming in on the 6th of the 6th. And look, at the time of the new moon is 1337, and the 13 is the actual number of Venusian years in a Venus cycle, and her complete cycle is the number 13. And as many of you know, I use 13 star sign astrology. So, wow, it's all connected, right? Connecting all the dots, all the stars. The last quarter moon in Pisces will be on the 28th at 22:53, and that is in Pisces, and it's going to be quite close to I think it's quite close to the North Node. We'll check on the chart. Neptune and Saturn will station retrograde. I just noticed a typo on my thing. You know what I mean? It's retrograde. I've said Neptune station retrograde the 2nd of July, and Saturn station retrograde the 29th of June. So that's going to be at the end of this cycle. So lots of stuff kind of slowing down around that time for those energies, Saturn and Neptune. Yeah, so we're going to stop sharing that screen. And now I'm going to go into Stellarium Web, which is an astronomy program. You can look at the live sky. It's so much fun. One of my favorite things. So this is the 6th of the 6th. This is yesterday. I planned to do this yesterday, but you know, didn't happen. And when I started looking at the chart for the new moon, I realized it's on my natal Chiron. So that's why I was crying a lot yesterday. Obviously, it's like, oh. So yeah, this is a big healing cycle for me, I believe. Yes, anyway, so here we go. This is the constellation Taurus, and you can see the sun, moon, Venus. Look, she's right next to the sun. So she's crossed over the sun now. She's past her star point, her Cazimi, or heart of the sun. And Mercury's moving away from Jupiter now. Uranus is in the border, Taurus. Woohoo! How exciting! So exciting. And Mars is about to leave Pisces soon. He'll be coming into the Cetus Aries area of the sky, or the void place, the transition, birthplace between spirit and matter. Saturn still in Aquarius here. I wanted to go to the first quarter moon time just quickly so I could show you the first quarter moon, 14th of the 6th at 6:18. And then we can see the moon. See, it's really like, it's funny because the last star in Leo is obviously Denebola here, tail of the lion. So it's quite closely aligned to that in the live sky, and it really is like, that's the first star of Virgo. So it's really closer to Virgo than it is to Leo. But, you know, anything on the cusp, it's the embodiment of both the energies. And it reminds me of the strength card in the tarot. You know, when there's an image of a priestess holding the lion's mouth, or taming the lion, or, you know, that energy of the strength card. And so I connect this energy about taming, or not even taming, it's like beholding the wildness and working with the wildness, not being afraid of the wildness. You know, we don't need to tame it. It's like we just need to befriend it. And that wildness is part of us, you know, it's our primal nature. It's and so the energy of the strength card is really about really gathering the strength of our wildness and channeling it like the priestess into work and projects and service and things that we want to create. So it's channeling the raw, primal, wild power of the lion, and as Virgo does, creating something useful with it. So with the waxing energy of the moon, the energy is building, it's growing and expanding. So it's the growth of the cycle. So we could say, you know, that the seed of this cycle starts with Venus. It starts at her home in Taurus. You know, so she's coming out of the womb, of the dark, of the place where she's returned to herself. And now this first quarter moon, it's like she's coming out from the dark. We're coming out of the underworld, and we are really embracing our wildness and our authentic self, and directing that into a way that's useful, that we can then create work and service around, and healing and health around that part of us. So that's the first quarter moon. And then the 22nd, let's see what time the full moon is. 2:07. So I get really excited when the moon is full in the galactic center. Look, oh my gosh. So the galactic center is really close to the butterfly cluster, which is a cluster of stars also called the M6 or Messier 6. See here. So yeah, this is Hanshula as well. So this is the energy of gateway between worlds. This is the gateway home, or the black hole in the center of our Milky Way galaxy. And in previous videos, I was talking about the energy of this place and how it's like got this pulse, like a heartbeat or a womb beat, you know, like that pulse of life. And it draws things in and spits things out. And it's this magical, mysterious place, you know, that is so powerful. And so the full moon aligning to this feels very significant, especially with all of the alignments going into Taurus now. And oh, yeah. So this could be a really powerful full moon just after the solstice, the time of most light and most dark. And it's the turning point. So we'll be going into, after the summer solstice, the days will start to get shorter again. And in the south, the days will start to get longer again. So it's the turning point. So we can take that energy of like, wow, this is a turning time. This full moon is a shifting time where we could, Sagittarius is the visionary, it's the explorer. So we could really start to be moving into that true vision, that expanded self, that higher self, you know, that can see far beyond this, you know, 3D reality, but can zoom out and see the bigger picture. Yeah, amazing, right? Okay, last quarter moon, 28th of the 6th. Moon is in Pisces with the North Node. Okay, what time was that? 22:53. Let's just pop it in. So you can always look at astronomy and look at the sky as she really is. See what's going on out there, up there. Okay, here we go. So yeah, here's the moon in Pisces. So as we're coming to the end of the cycle, it's like the energy is descending and returning back to source. So this is like the energy of harvesting the cycle. So in Pisces, this is a really nice time for cleansing, for like swimming in the ocean, saltwater baths, and really purging or releasing, crying, really cleansing ourselves from all of the things that have happened this cycle, because it feels like it has the capacity to be a huge life-changing cycle, with for a lot of us connected to our resources and the Taurian energy. So yes, I'm going to jump into the chart for the new moon in Taurus. So as you can see, as I said, 22, 22, and then Venus is here at 23 degrees. So yeah, Venus with the new moon in Taurus. I've spoken about this already, that she's at home in these stars. And she's like, oh, it's like that feeling of homecoming for our hearts. It's like, yes, this is what I love. I remember like in the last few days just like singing, just driving along singing. I don't want the radio on, I just want to sing. And just finding that beauty and that love and that connection to everything through my sound and my song. And how when I start singing, I can feel like the birds start singing more. And I'm like, wow. And it's like, so this is such a creative energy, is what I'm getting at here. So this cycle, all things creative are going to be seeded. And with Jupiter and Mercury close to the Pleiades or seed sisters, this is a real time for really, really consciously tending the most precious seeds of your deepest desires and values. Like, what do I really love? Like, really, in the core of it, what's important to me? And it's now that we can really start to gather the resources, network, communicate, and share. So, Jupiter and Mercury together, in Taurus, this is about communication and expansion of the physical, of the earth, of our resources, of the abundance, of our beliefs, of generosity. It was just 2 days before the new moon on the Venus Cazimi day that I had 4 massive food boxes delivered to my house at 7 o'clock at night, unexpectedly. Hello, Uranus into Taurus, that I had to distribute, what I chose to distribute to our Mama Village community, which is our local village community that we're building here. And I just drove, like, I put my youngest daughter to sleep and I just drove around the village, and I was giving out vegetables to all the people I love and know, and whoever I could think of. And there was still more people I could think of. And then, the next 2 days, they was like, we have some more salad. Would you like some more? And just this abundance of the earth. And so I feel like this is really the frequency of this cycle. Like, how can we really embody in body, Taurus, all of the abundance and resources that are here and that we are? And I just also keep hearing this returning to the garden and this feeling of getting our hands in the soil, and like growing food and tending the land, and really returning to our senses. Like, we need to reclaim our senses and the feelings and the smells and the sensuality, and like I said, the sounds and the voice and all of that beauty. And yeah, of course, like there's a new era of technology, and so much of our life is online now. And I felt this huge resistance in me to come on the computer. I was like, I just want to be in the garden all the time right now. And I'm finding it like really hard to do anything else, even though life, that's what we have to do and have other things to do. But how can we take time to smell the roses, to eat some nice chocolate, and to really indulge in the beauty of life? I think that's the invitation of Venus, like to really tap into our wild self-love. You know, Venus is in trine to Black Moon Lilith. Wild self-love. Like, oh my God. And Black Moon Lilith is with the South Node in Virgo. You know, so this brings me into like how we remember from the past how good it is to love ourselves, to treat ourselves with care and health and well-being. This is all Virgo, to be of service to our wildness, Black Moon Lilith, to our shadows, to the underworld, to all of those deepest, most primal parts of us. And that's, you know, Venus is actually working with Black Moon Lilith this cycle. And then as the moon comes around to its first quarter, guess who the moon will be with? Black Moon Lilith. So I'll show you that chart in a minute. So Black Moon Lilith is working the chart quite strongly this cycle as well as Venus. And, you know, in a way, Lilith is an aspect of Venus. You know, she's got the serpent and, you know, it's really that primal passion. And lots of people connect Lilith to the shadows. But it's just about like what I've been really receiving about that is like things will come into our field when we're ready to meet with them. And it seems like a part of me is ready to rise. It's safe now for this part of me to come up and be integrated into my full self. So then that part might be reflected outwardly and come into my energy field. And I'm like, oh, hello, there's that part of me. And how can what do I need to do now? And it's normally an unresolved part of my own story, my own trauma from my own past lives or, you know, my childhood that is coming up to be reviewed. And so this is the magic here with the South Node. It's like there's so much healing available for the past and all of the things that have happened through past lives that is gonna the healing comes through love, and that is self-love, self-care, wild self-love, like I've said. And this could be really about embracing our true self, embracing our creativity and our hearts, and really valuing how creative we are and how beautiful we are. Like, how could we be more in love with ourselves and in love with the earth? And how can we be more in our hearts? And even when these shadows of the past come up, you know, when we feel like those traumas or those pains are activated, what do we do? How do we tend to that with our hearts, Venus, sending it love? I've had these experiences and I will share because it's useful, I think, to some of us. And it's good to share the experiences that, like, anger has been coming into my field. And when I feel that someone is angry and shouting, how it affects me is I shake and my hands start shaking and my heart starts pounding. And I'm like, whoa, that's something. Because it's not about the person shouting, it's about the reason why they're there and why it's upsetting me so much. You know, so what I've recognized from that happening a few times the last week is like, wow, that part of me really wants to be heard. The part of me that is so angry inside that she's shaking, you know, and my heart's racing, you know, and how can I love that part of me, you know, and what I've been doing for myself in that moment, you know, when I feel those feelings is just validating it in myself and being like, wow, you're really upset right now. I love you. Do some deep breathing, and I'm really conscious that it's part of the process of me integrating that painful part of me for it to come up to the surface to be witnessed. And until I do that, you know, the angry people are still going to be there because I haven't resolved it in myself yet. So that's been a huge journey for me. And I feel like it's an ongoing process. It's not like a quick, you know, that's it. It's like the deeper you go, the more you unveil. So Lilith with the South Node is like, how deep is your love? How deep can you drop into your you know, your lineage, your ancestry, all that you've been, all that you've been through. How much can you love here in this? You know, and it's a powerful kind of feeling to do that. And it's also a challenging feeling to do that, right? So Uranus has just moved into Taurus. It's at 0 degrees of Taurus here, you can see, and is in opposition to Pallas Athena, who is in Libra. And so her energy, you know, I spoke before, she is another aspect of the feminine in like that, the more logical and intelligent side of the feminine, you know, the one that is practical and strategic. And so these energies coming like opposite each other, it feels like something about challenging the norms and really questioning existing structures and systems, and really seeking a balance, Athena in Libra, of the resources, Taurus, and the physical realm. So these energies here, it's like there's this kind of energy of like awakening, and it's like this a huge creative and intellectual tension as well. It's like Athena's very intelligent and in mind, and Uranus might just be blowing her mind, like she can't think straight because it's just like, whoa, there's just so much change in the physical. So much is changing in the physical right now and shifting. And the logical part of our brain that wants to be a peacemaker might feel a bit mind boggled, because it's like, wow, there's just so much shifting happening and changing, and I can't keep up because it's so fast. And so this Uranus energy coming into Taurus is going to be like really shifting things up in this physical realm, in this earthly reality of Gaia. And it's going to bring radical shifts in collective dynamics, I believe, and yeah, challenging the norms and hopefully creating change. So Saturn is in square to the new moon and Venus, you see here. And so this kind of energy feels like it's bringing restrictions and limitations to all these things I was talking about. All of the things that we love and we want to create and grow, and the beauty, and you know, we might feel like we're constantly being pulled back into work, like what I was saying, right? Like, it's like, I just want to be in the garden, there's all these things I have to do. So there's like this weight of responsibility that might feel like a burden, or like it's limiting us from our heart's desires. Maybe it's feeling like our desires can't be met because of all these challenges and restrictions around our self-worth and valuing ourselves, that and actually saying, no, I'm going to go and sit in the garden, you know, like, and how can we, like, because the challenge comes, it's like an energy to help us grow, isn't it? It's like there's a challenge or a tension there, because you know, we are working really hard to create change, but you know, this is a reminder for all of us that unless we're rooted in the physical, grounded in the body, with our hands in the soil and earth, nothing's going to happen, you know, because we need to be able to hold it. We want to, you know, download these amazing temples. We have to be grounded, you know, we have to have, you know, things in order, all our ducks in a row for it to land properly. Otherwise, it's going to be a very wonky temple, you know. And Saturn does bring this level of responsibility that's quite real, in that, like, okay, you've got this dream, this vision, and all this beautiful creativity, but what are you going to do with it? How's it going to be, you know, productive for? And in Aquarius, you know, oh my goodness, it's like in Aquarius, this is the collective. So this is about contributing to the greater good. So what is being called now is like, well, this creative energy of Venus and Jupiter and Mercury and Uranus going into Taurus, this Taurus party, Saturn is squaring it, and he's been like, okay, but is this really for the greater good of everyone? And is it going to contribute to the collective in a way that's going to really shift things? So he's kind of like that elder watching from the corner going, yeah, well, have you really thought this through? What's the plan? So, but that's good. You need that. We need people, Saturn, saying, what, are you sure that's the right way? Can we, and he might be seeing things from a completely different perspective because he's an Aquarius, right? Taurus can be more indulgent, very a little bit more um like to just do things for themselves and take care of themselves, which is beautiful as well. It's very nice to be indulgent and to value yourself. But then Saturn is also putting in this edge of like, yes, but we still need to do it for the greater good. It has to be in alignment and integrity with the great plan. So yeah, that could be bringing a bit of tension. Pluto is in trine to Jupiter and Mercury. So wow, and that's really a lovely energy. And I feel like this is going to really help us, it's going to bring growth and transformation and also helping us expand into our power. Oh, yes. And also transforming old belief systems. Jupiter is connected to what we believe. Pluto is retrograding back to the last degree of Sagittarius, what we believe. And what I was saying about the Saturn energy, you can't build those temples and that great vision until you've done the inner work to really get solidly grounded in what it is you value, what you want. So Pluto trine to Jupiter and Mercury is really about expanding into our power, expanding our vision, and can bring, I feel like, positive reforms and change, but it's really helping us to stay centered in our own beliefs. What are we doing this for? What's the reason? What's the why? And finding that deepest knowing inside. And that's where we move from. That's your instinct, that's your intuition, that's your guide. And when we're tuning into that, we are aligning with our soul. That's also Pluto, and that is our destiny. So Pluto trine to Jupiter and Mercury feels really lovely. And yeah, really glad of that contribution as well. I'm just looking at my notes to see if there's anything else I wanted to share. I think that's it for that one. Okay, so the first quarter moon, I'm not going to go too, I've got so many typos on this today. You can tell I was like, quick, got to do this on the report. It's a day late. We're just going to ignore the typos. I think that's the best way. Yeah, so first quarter moon with black moon Lilith. So yeah, let's just talk a little bit about that before I go. Before I go to bed. Yes, so moon and Lilith together. This is a very emotional first quarter moon. And in opposition to Saturn. I was just talking about Saturn, wasn't I? So Saturn is still in square, but this now is forming a T-square. So black moon Lilith and the moon opposite to Saturn in square to the sun, Venus and Mercury. So this energy feels like it could be bringing a big shift around our emotions. Changes to do with facing our fear of being criticized, by an authority or a father figure or old traditions. It's like it can help us to like really move through those deep feelings and fears, fears of being ridiculed or judged in some way. And it could also bring up this feeling of defensiveness or reactive around authority figures. And so, yeah, it feels like that's a big energy that's having a big impact. And yeah, Mars will be in Aries then. So, the Aries seaters avoid places. So So that's a really lovely energy as well, that he's shifted. He's made a shift out of the Pisces energy by the time the first quarter comes. And Mercury is then joining with the Sun, so Mercury will be having its cazimi as well. So lots of cazimi actions recently. This Sun joining, the planets conjoining with the Sun. Lots of change and purification. And then Pallas Athena, who I was talking about opposite Uranus, is going to be in a grand trine with Neptune and Vesta in Gemini, and Neptune in Pisces. So this feels like a really psychic energy, and this is connecting us to our higher mind or our intellect in a way that's quite telepathic, and also like using our dream world to give us clues around our what we're devoted to, Vesta, and how we can create balance through strategy and making plans, putting plans in place. So the dream world could be really useful for us around this first quarter moon time to really see inside, what's really going on our inner world. Yeah, so I'm not going to go into the full moon and the last quarter moon and then the new moon after that because it's getting late now. So I'm going to log off, and yes, I'm hoping some of that was helpful for you all. And yeah, please subscribe, share if you like it. Thank you for your patience with me again. And yeah, I'll hopefully see you in a few weeks. New moon blessings, my loves.